Thank you, King. Thank you very much, everyone. And as you all know, this morning I'm going to offer the empowerment of the meditative Buddha. Before I offer the empowerment, as part of the ceremony, I'm going to give brief introductions. Introduction, which is part of the ceremonies. Even though many of you already know this, but again, it's part of the, again, as I said, lineage instruction is a remembering of the how all this teaching happened. And everything teaching, what we offer here or I give, is the teaching of the lineage. This lineage is started from the gracious kindness, compassion teacher from the Buddha Shakyamuni, who came 2,600 years ago in India. This lineage is continued until now as unbroken lineage. Often in the teaching you said stainless teaching as natural or stainless, natural, golden, natural teaching that continually until now is uninterrupted, diluted, and continued carried on that. And preserve that integrity of the devotion, courage, and a commitment, and a loyalty kept that teaching from the time Buddha shared this teaching until now. So that is what today we are connected to that again, to that teachings. Again, the gracious teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni, who came, as I already said to you, and you know, the 2,600 years ago he came. And he become the Buddha at age 35, from the age 35 until the age 81, he continually giving the teachings. And that teaching he realized or understand what wisdom or the realization he achieved, that he shared that with others. He realized the nature of the mind, one's own nature of the mind. And he saw the nature of the mind is full of the beautiful qualities, loving kindness, compassion, courage, commitment, and confidence. And that richness that he revealed. When we discover that nature, that our own beauty nature, what we have, then we completely become as fearlessness. We become the indestructibles. We move on this world or in this samsara of the world without fear and difficulties. Because at the present time, we don't have that realization, understanding, and that's why many times we're struggling all the time. But once we explore our beauty in the nature, then you become, or each of us become, as completely, totally happy, peaceful, free from all the obstacles and fears, disease, sicknesses. That's what the really teaching said. That's what the Buddha discovered. So this teaching of the Buddha is totally loving kindness, compassion, and wisdom combined together. Thinking of every living being. That every living being has also that potential, that richness. It's not just only the selected group has that. Everyone shares the same nature. As everyone share the same, the element, fire, water, wind, space. There's no distinction between somebody shares, somebody don't have to have the element or the space or the airs. Everyone need air, everyone need the space, everyone need these elements. Same with the nature and the beauty is the same. There's no differences. That is what really the gracious teacher Buddha told. And he gave the teaching that, as I said, start from the age 35 until age 81. And those all teachings can summarize in the teachings known as then 9 jnana teachings that summarize that. And all that teaching came to Tibet in the 8th centuries. In the time of the great, known as the great king, Dharma patron, known as King Tsewang Devti, through his courage and commitment, his dedication to bring this authentic and beautiful richness teaching as a gift to the Tibetan peoples. That really he made such a big effort. And because of that, his courage and commitment, he able to invite great master teacher known as Gurupema Sambhava and a great teacher known as Shanta Rakshita, Acharya Shanta Rakshita. They both are invited to Tibet. These three individuals come together and brought entire teaching of the Buddha Shakyamuni. That whole his teaching, there are over 45 years teachings of the Buddha Shakyamuni brought to Tibet completely. Everything brought Tibetans. Those teachings are continually preserved by all those dedicated practitioners. In the 8th century until now, everything really they preserve it, they practice it. How they preserve it? They practice it, they meditate. They not just let the intellectual status. They receive the teaching, they practice, they meditate with full of devotion, courage and commitment and compassion and loving kindness, respect and appreciation to every living beings. And both the beauty of non-violence, peace. They complete the individual become totally symbol of the peace and love and compassion and humble and humility. At the same time, they share that knowledge with others and continually preserve that teachings. So these teachings are then in Tibet. Of course, all Tibetans are Buddhism. Even in Tibet, there is a few different sub-schools of the Buddhism, known as the Nyingma schools, Kagyu, Satya, Gelugpa schools. Particularly this teaching, what came today, is come from the Nyingma schools of Tibetan Buddhism. Particularly this great teacher, the master, the Shanta Rakshita, who was one of the co-founder of the Tibetan Buddhism, he was a very famous practitioner of the Meris Buddhas. He really highlighted the Meris Buddha practices in Tibet very much. He himself practiced it, he shared that teaching to the others and came to some teachings. So the Meris Buddha become very popular practices to all the schools of Tibetan Buddhism, and particularly Nyingma schools of Tibetan Buddhism. Nyingma schools' teachings are then continually carried by two famous lineages, systems. Those are known as Kama and Dharma. Those are both Tibetan languages. But Kama means oral transmission teachings. From the teacher to the student, from teacher to the student, continually carried on that. Again, kept that, as I said, with the devotion, with the courage, with the commit, with the loyalties. Keep the authenticness of that teaching. They never diluted that teaching with the conception of thought, idea, this and that. They really kept exactly where things are presented at the time and continue now. And that is known as Kama teaching. Kama means oral transmission, meditative teachings. And then the second technique is known as Dharma teachings. Dharma teaching is known as then the hidden. And that is by the great Master Gurupema Sambhava, Wisdom Rakini Shin Soja, female lady, very highly realized beings. Again, she reached the enlightenment within that lifetime in a disciple of Gurupema Sambhava. And they both are then hidden these many teachings. And then as well as other many great masters too. Hidden and rediscovered that teaching. And that is known as Dharma teachings. And that is the particular, this Kama and Dharma teachings are very specifically lineage systems of the Nyingma schools of Tibetan Buddhism. Nyingma is the one of the what is Tibet, that again is Tibetan word, which means ancient schools of Tibetan Buddhism, which started from at the time, Rinpoche time, or the 8th centuries until now. So that is the teaching continually now, that is Nyingma. So this particular today teaching, what I'm offering you is the combination of the Kama and the Dharma and joined together, that both lineage teaching. And again, very famous, who did this? Very famous teacher known as Raga Akse. Raga Akse, or the head of Karma Chami. He was one of the very famous great masters around in the 17th century, I think, around that time. And he was also master of all the Buddhisms. And particularly, he was very famous masters of the Nyingma and the Kagyu schools of Tibetan Buddhism. And it is Raga Akse. And he himself as great practitioners of Meris Buddhas. And he was also great writer, great visionary, and a great scholars. and great practitioners. He practiced, is also hermitage. He really practiced so long in a retreat all the time. He's been, his whole life in a way, practicing, meditating in a retreat, in a cabins that been. And very also, he is fully ordained monks, and also very humble, very respectful for everyone, to everyone. And he was one of the very famous great masters. His teachings all are very simple, easy to understand in the Tibetan kind of colloquial levels. And so simple, but yet so profound, so direct, it really touched to the heart of the individual practitioners. And so kind of simple, is just reigns in the heart, so beautifully and perfect. So this great masters is combined these two lineage teaching together, and he has varieties of the medicine Buddha teachings. But today what I'm offering is one of the very condensed teaching. Of course, we go those more details in this up and that. So that is what this medicine Buddha teaching continually. And now we talk briefly about the medicine Buddha. Medicine Buddha is the Buddha of the healings. This Buddha, generally in Buddhism, there is many Buddhas. Why? Because according to Buddhism, the Buddha taught that every living being has the same potential, same nature as Buddha Shakyamuni himself. There is no difference between man and woman or any forms. Regardless any form you have, the nature is the same. Potential is the same. If you work for your potential, your nature, you have the 100% right to become or discover that beauty and that nature. So therefore, there is so many Buddhas who discovered fully that nature. What is that nature? That nature is loving kindness. That nature is a compassion. That nature is openness, not solid object, not just concrete or solid. Openness. Another name in the Buddha's teaching named emptiness. It's empty of the solid, empty of the grasping, empty of the clingings, empty of the form. That mystery, that beauty, that openness is combined with compassion, loving kindness, wisdom, understanding. That is what nature is. In order to discover that nature, you have to do that same thing. You have to explore more compassion, more loving kindness, more mindfulness, combined together. Then, when we start with that, what it comes immediately, it brings more joy to individually. This is not fairy tale stories telling someone. If you started touching to your own nature of love, kindness, and compassion, and the mindfulness or the wisdom, what it brings? It brings joy. It brings the peace. It brings calmness. It brings openness. It brings realizations, the beauty of one's own self, beauty of others, not locked in the kind of corner of the darkness and not seeing anything, and only kind of with the hope and the fears kind of continually challenging. You really become the totally warriors of the love and the compassion and the kindness and the wisdoms. That is what nature is, and we have to do. So therefore, whoever did that, if follow that, they have the 100% right to become Buddha, or another word, who become the fully discovered your innate natures. Whatever we named, Buddha, enlightened beings, or whatever we named, everyone. So therefore there is so many Buddhas. There is men Buddhas, there is women Buddhas. There is peaceful Buddha, and also there is very powerful, peaceful Buddhas. In order to defeat the ego clinging, in order to defeat the neurotic mind, in order to defeat the self-important, self-centered minds. Therefore, there is also many of those enlightened beings or the Buddhas appeared in order to benefit and help to the other beings, guide and discover their beauty and innate natures. So therefore, there are many Buddhas. And these Buddhas, according to Buddha Shakyamuni, these Buddhas every different directions. This is what we call the world. But this is not just so, according to Buddhism, Buddha Shakyamuni is teaching, this is not just only this world, single world. There is so many universe, so many worlds, every directions, up and down in every direction of this where we are. So where is the Buddha? Is a living Buddha right now. It's not past Buddha that who came and gone and that become like his stories, or is going to come in the future. It is a right now living Buddha. According to Buddha Shakyamuni, according to all those great practitioners, the masters, a living Buddha. Where he lives now? In the east direction of this universe, our world, east direction. Not just only the closely our neighborhood like world. According to Buddha teaching, is many universes passed to the east, the east direction, one after another universe, one after another universe. Many universes pass beyond the pure land of the Medicine Buddha, the who is right now living Buddha, Medicine Buddha. Medicine Buddha is a total enlightened being. His wisdom has no territories, no divisions of between time and spaces. His love and compassion has no time and spaces. It's beyond time and spaces. Every directions. So it's right living Buddha now. That was also Buddha Shakyamuni when he was in the way he came came to in India 180. He usually traveling with bare feet, many places with his students. And one time he came in the city of the known as Vishalis. And when we came to the Vishali, and the time and the situation and circumstances and gathering, everything is so perfectly beautiful to explore the teaching of the Medicine Buddha. That moment, through the power of the Buddha Shakyamuni, he kind of immediately opened the door of the east directions. Now all the audience, everyone who is there, they began to see the Medicine Buddha. Medicine Buddha, they saw. And it showed that, it kind of ushered that, opened the door of that. And this is the Medicine Buddha. And Medicine Buddha Pure Land is the completely healings. Because the fundamental cause of the sicknesses and difficulty is our own negative emotions. Our negative emotions are ignorance, attachment, or grasping, and anger. Anger is connected with the fears. How many fears? That tendency, that negative emotion is the fundamental cause of sicknesses. And Pure Land of Medicine Buddha is totally free of that. Free of the ignorance. Free of the grasping or the attachments. Free of the angers. Therefore, there is no sicknesses. And everything is a healing. Everything is healing qualities, healing powers, wisdom, shimmering light, that they really see that. And that's the time Buddha Shakyamuni gave the teachings on the Medicine Buddhas. Medicine Buddha. They are called Sutra of the Medicine Buddha. I bought that text, small text, in a shrine. I will give you as a blessing to you later. That I have that text, I'm here. It's a part of the teaching. That is the Medicine Buddha teachings. Buddha gave that. So as the Buddha gave that teaching that time, then this teaching of the Medicine Buddha is continued now. Until now. Completely. It's all, everyone began to practice on this in Tibet. Really, there's no different schools of Buddhism. Has different. Everyone practice, meditated on this. This is the Medicine Buddha practice. It's not just the Medicine Buddha practice only while we are sick or the healings. This is practice for this life, next life, in the pardo, and all the time. Every time. This is so special practice. For the healing, for the longevity, for the increase in lives, for our vitalities, for our fulfillments, for our all the any relationships, for successful. Really, Medicine Buddha is one of the great practices, teachings. And therefore, this becomes one of the very powerful and very influential practices in the Tibetan Buddhism, and particularly Nyingma. Since it is so special, therefore Ngorpe Masamba also give a lot of these teachings, and there is also many Dharma teachings of the Medicine Buddha. So many Dharma teachings, hidden, rediscovered by many great masters, one after another. So that is what this Medicine Buddha is. And today, then I'm going to give you this as empowerment, or the blessings of empowerment. Again, the empowerment. Now I talk briefly. So that is really about the Medicine Buddhas. And now about the empowerment. I mean, of course, most of you all know this, empowerment. But what means empowerment, actually? Empowerment means is waking up our potentials, our Buddha natures, the Buddha nature of the Medicine Buddha, such as Buddha Shakyamuni. Loving kindness and compassion and wisdom. That we have that potential, as I said, repeated many times, and you all know, according to Buddhist philosophy and the teaching, always said that we all have that beautiful nature. There's no difference there. And but at this time, our that beautiful nature is like in a way sleeping mood. It's kind of sleeping. It's not completely alert status. So the empowerment, it will help to activate, to bring alert status short times, or at least short times. And once we got alerted and brought up that on the alert in that status, then if we continue to carry on that, then it will bring a very beautiful result, benefits. Even though we didn't do that, but once we receive, because it's touched to our nature. What we have the nature, what you receive that is connected together. It's not just going to react to each other. It is merged. It's mingled together. Your nature is, as I said many times, is love, compassion, kindness. Teaching is what you receive, the empowerment is loving kindness, compassion, wisdom. So it's completely blended in. Blended, there's no reactions or counter-reactions. There's no counter-reaction. It just blended in. And therefore, it will activate it in the teaching sense, even though it didn't do anything now in a short time, but it will help to activate it in the future, because it is blended in there. And that is really the meaning of the empowerment, and in one way to say that. And then, of course, there's some other way to explain those things. And now, and how you receive this empowerment? Through the meditation, through the lineage blessings, through the ritual objects, and through the mantras. Those ways you receive this empowerment. So that is my brief kind of introductions of this part of the teaching, or part of this empowerment. And now we do the empowerment itself. The empowerment itself, again, going to divide it into 3 sections: beginning, and middle, and concluding. Thank you. Concluding, and so beginning, and the middle, and the concluding. So we begin. So now, in order to do the empowerment.